Good morning everyone, I'm Jade Lewis, Chief Executive of the Sustainable Energy Association. The SEA is a membership organisation made up of housing providers, installers, manufacturers, finance providers and energy suppliers. We are industry leaders in energy and buildings, technology agnostic and provide objective, evidence-based policy positions which help shape how we think about, generate and use energy. We are constructive, collaborative and committed to achieving our vision to help create living and working spaces fit for future generations by ensuring that all buildings are energy efficient, low carbon, warm and healthy. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about the government policy and regulation impacting upon low carbon and energy design in buildings, highlighting the funding streams, explain what approach should be taken and discuss some of the factors to consider, like health and well-being, quality, knowledge and skills, and what, as designers of the built environment, you should be doing to help deliver low carbon design and help the UK meet its ambitious zero carbon target. The need to urgently tackle climate change has led the UK government to pledge to reduce emissions to net zero by 2050. Given that approximately a third of carbon emissions are from the built environment, then this means the government will need to address energy in buildings to meet the target. Hence, we are seeing a significant increase in proposed policies and funding in this area, with the next few months being particularly significant. The Grenfell fire and subsequent Hackett review has increased pressure on the construction industry to improve competency, so in order to access the energy efficiency market, the sector will need to change. The Future Home Standard bans fossil fuel heating in new homes from 2025 and aims to address the performance gap in building quality. As well as driving carbon reductions via new build design and sustainable heating solutions, this is driving a shift towards improved quality and guaranteed energy performance in the market. The UK's housing stock is amongst the worst in Europe, leading to some of the highest levels of fuel poverty on the continent, which can only have been exacerbated during the COVID-19 crisis. This means that the government will need to do more to address the current housing stock. The Clean Growth Strategy set a target to upgrade as many houses to EPC Band C by 2035, where practical, cost-effective and affordable, and for all fuel-poor households, and as many rented homes as possible to reach the same standard by 2030. This makes the energy efficiency retrofit of homes, particularly for those in fuel poverty, a necessity. All this means that we will see increased government policies and schemes to reduce energy use and carbon in new and existing buildings, and we will have to change the way in which we design and build from now on. So what are the actual regulations for new build homes? Firstly, we have Part L, the building regulation in England setting standards for the energy performance in new build homes. We expect this will require an increase in U values and additional requirements for providing evidence and monitoring to tackle poor installations. We are still awaiting the government response to the 2019 consultation to understand the exact details. We're expecting this to be published around the end of the month, and the regulation will then come into force next year. Alongside this was the consultation on Part F for ventilation. We're also expecting consultations on Part L and F for non-domestic buildings and retrofit very soon, but COVID-19 is causing issues. Limitations to improving energy efficiency in non-domestic buildings, when balanced with the need to bring in a supply of fresh air to prevent the spread of this airborne virus, are believed to be causing delays to the publication of the consultation. We also have the Future Home Standard, which the government has committed to introducing in 2025. It will likely require all new homes to be built without fossil fuel heating systems, so with low carbon heating solutions and with very high fabric standards. Again, we are expecting the response to the government consultation around the end of October, along with a further consultation on future homes policy. We now have the New Homes Ombudsman, responsible for complaints made against the builder and their supply chain for quality issues, but this will also give them powers over underperformance to help address a performance gap. New technologies are being made available to monitor performance, not just of individual measures, but of the building as a whole. The government's meter project could lead to claims against developers in the market. This is the Smart Meter Thermal Efficiency Rating Project, set up to develop monitoring solutions to deliver proven performance in energy efficiency. The government is also wary of the dangers of poorly insulating and overheating homes. Following recommendations made by the Committee for Climate Change, the government commissioned research into the dangers of overheating in new homes. It is expected that they will consult industry very soon on regulations to mitigate overheating. We're also expecting a heat and building strategy to be published around December time. This demonstrates an increased trend towards collectively addressing carbon in buildings via a more holistic approach to buildings, combining the decarbonisation of heat and energy efficiency. In existing buildings, we have minimum energy efficiency standards. In the non-domestic sector, landlords currently cannot issue new tenancies on, but from April 2023 will not be allowed to continue to rent an FLG rated property. We already have such regulations in housing, where a domestic property needs to be an EPC band E or above to be rented out. The government is now consulting on whether or not all new tenancies can only be granted if the dwelling has an EPC band C from 2025, to be extended to all existing tenancies in 2028. They are proposing a fabric-first approach and considering mandating the use of Trustmark registered installers. These regulations act as drivers to improve the energy efficiency of homes and create an increased retrofit market. The government is looking to phase out high carbon fossil fuels in homes off the gas grid in the 2020s, with preference for low carbon heating options like heat pumps. Millions of off-grid homes will need to be made suitable for low carbon heat, predominantly heat pumps, through improved insulation and ventilation. We're also expecting a revised fuel poverty strategy for England, which has been delayed by COVID-19, but there are plans to update the targets. We now have a number of existing and expected funding schemes. We have the existing Energy Company Obligation Scheme, a government energy efficiency scheme in the UK to help reduce carbon emissions and tackle fuel poverty, which is funded via the major energy suppliers. Eco4, now being referred to as Beyond Eco or BECO, is expected to be a £1 billion fuel poverty scheme running from 2022 to 2026, focused on addressing the worst performing homes. That spans EPC, E, F and G. The revised scheme is likely to take a more complicated multi-measure approach that includes enabling works to address more difficult to treat properties. We're expecting a Homes Upgrade Grant known as HUG. The Conservative Party made a manifesto commitment to spend £2.5 billion via a Home Upgrades Grant to tackle fuel poverty and decarbonise homes to help the UK achieve net zero by 2050. We believe the scheme will be focused on improving fuel per homes off the gas grid by installing energy efficiency measures and low carbon heating. We are waiting to hear if this funding will be secured in the government's comprehensive spending review. The Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund also comes out of the Conservative manifesto. Local authorities will be able to bid for funding as part of a £50 million demonstrator project to retrofit social housing at scale. Applications can be made from combined authorities, local authorities or consortia led by local authorities for work in this area. Bids will be accepted from October to November, with successful applications announced in December 2020. The closing date for expressions of interest is this Friday. The Public Sector Decarbonisation Scheme was published on the 1st of October and totals £1 billion. Under the scheme, grants will be issued for the funding of energy efficiency and heat decarbonisation projects for public sector bodies. And of course, we now have the recently launched Green Homes Grant, where a homeowner or residential landlord can apply for a voucher towards the cost of installing energy efficiency improvements to their home, which runs up to the end of March 2021. We are hopeful that this is only the beginning of government support to drive consumer uptake of energy efficiency to improve the current building stock. Regional differences affect the cost of heating our buildings, the carbon emissions produced and the level and depth of fuel poverty. Therefore, a local approach is needed to address the different challenges faced across the UK. Approaches need to reflect differences in housing stock, climatic conditions, local income levels, etc. Because local authorities are closer to the point of delivery, they have a greater understanding of their particular needs and can play a key role. In fact, many local authorities are now setting their own standards, and these will need to be considered when designing and specifying low carbon energy solutions. To date, 71% of councils have declared a climate emergency. Also, 8 combined authorities and city regions. While there's no single definition, many local authorities are committing to becoming carbon neutral in advance of 2050. It is clear that local authorities are driving the agenda at a local level, with some ambitious targets beginning to influence local economic growth plans and skills programmes. The contagion effect of local projects should not be underestimated. property owners and residents will learn of local campaigns and aspire for the same benefits of comfort and warmth. A new social norm for building energy efficiency will be driven by seeing and hearing real-life examples of the benefits. Designers therefore have a key role to play in aiding the zero carbon agenda, but will need to adapt for local differences. The SEA recognises that there is no single solution to decarbonising energy in buildings. A range of technology solutions, financing models and delivery methods are required. Heating and hot water for UK buildings make up around 20% of greenhouse gas emissions. In order to meet climate change targets, progress must also be made on decarbonising the heating sector. Energy efficiency and heat are integral parts of the net zero challenge. All heating systems will operate more efficiently in a well-insulated building. Improving the thermal performance of the building will minimise heat demand and also make low-carbon technologies, such as heat pumps, more cost-competitive solutions. In practice, reducing the energy needs of buildings requires a multi-technology solution, tailored to the circumstances of the building and its occupants, a whole-house, technology-neutral approach which starts with the fabric. This strategy is set out in the SEA's Wrap Then Heat report. The building of the house is the optimum time to get the fabric installation and heating system right, so the building of new homes presents a significant opportunity. More problematic, though, is the current building stock, which should again be addressed via a holistic approach. According to the CCC, the UK's 29 million existing homes account for 14% of total UK emissions. Approximately 25% of existing properties are rated at the lowest band, EPC band E, F or G, the majority of which are solid wall properties and more difficult to treat, requiring more complex solutions. We need more advanced tools to help address these properties, for example a building passport, something the SEA has advocated for some time. A building passport is a live document that sets out the measures and solutions required to improve a particular property and achieve net zero carbon emissions that can be updated as changes are made to the building. Improvements to digital technologies make this a possibility nowadays. The current EPC system requires improvement, and a passport could be an evolution, an improved, more sophisticated version of the EPC. Embodied carbon of products and energy in use in the buildings all needs to be taken into account also. Where these cannot be feasibly reduced to zero, then carbon offsetting should then be considered. Health and well-being is now a megatrend. It is now a £1 trillion industry expected to continue to drive the global economy for the next 30 years or more. There is higher consumer demand for healthy foods, exercise, improved mental well-being and much more. Not surprising, therefore, that this is a growing trend to impact upon the built environment. COVID-19 has made us all more conscious of the impact that our homes are having on our health and how critical the indoor environment is in that. There are currently little government policies aimed at addressing health in homes, especially in the new build sector, but it is growing and the government is carrying out research now into the health impacts of homes. According to the BRE, the effects of poor housing to the UK on the NHS is costing £2.5 billion per year. The estimated social and economic costs of leaving people in poor housing is in the region of £18 billion per year. All this research is adding weight to the need to change the way we design and construct homes and buildings. One of the additional benefits to taking a fabric-first approach to energy efficiency is improved comfort, health and well-being for the occupant. But health and well-being is about more than just energy efficiency. Factors like air quality, lighting, outside views and acoustics are all known to have a significant impact on health. Therefore, while taking a holistic approach to the design and retrofit of buildings, there is an opportunity to also include additional measures to aid health and well-being. In fact, taking a whole house approach is also required to prevent unintended consequences of making homes zero carbon without paying due care and attention to these other factors. Overheating, poor air quality, mould and moisture are all known problems from poor quality approaches. While zero carbon is shooting up the agenda, the government's priority is still improved productivity and growth across the country. This has led to the significant investment in the construction sector via the Transforming Construction programme, which is driving increased use of innovation, digital technologies and modern methods of construction, as well as creating a shift towards whole life performance. A number of government departments have pledged in favour of MMC and are driving change via public procurement, along with a change to procuring for value, which enables a focus on improved energy efficiency and building performance without cost being a barrier. The technologies and solutions for achieving net zero exist today. It's just they are not commercialised or just not widely adopted in the UK. For example, low carbon heating solutions like heat pumps and MMC. I've been working with the Construction Leadership Council to help remove the barriers to innovation and increase the uptake of smart construction in buildings. Smart construction is building design, construction and operation that through collaborative partnerships makes full use of digital technologies and industrialised manufacturing techniques to improve productivity, minimise whole life cost, improve sustainability and maximise user benefits. Smart construction offers a solution to the mass production of affordable, energy efficient and low carbon homes. Adopting smart construction in the design of buildings would therefore help progress the zero carbon agenda. We have produced a very simple smart construction brochure that explains what it is and what the benefits are to clients. In addition, we have produced a dashboard of key metrics, which include sustainability metrics like EPC rating and embodied carbon. Homes England have adopted the metrics for their accelerated construction programme, and others across the industry are starting to measure their own housing projects. This move towards measuring and benchmarking the housing sector is a trend we expect to increase over coming years and will itself aid to drive improved energy performance in buildings. The Smart Construction brochure, dashboard and other helpful documents can all be found on the Construction Leadership Council website. There are of course many less complex product level innovations that can also assist in achieving net zero. Our SEA members include ShowerSave, who manufacture wastewater heat recovery systems, Airex, who have developed a smart ventilation control like an air brake, and Vestemi, who produce smart thermostatic radiator valves. Many innovators meet barriers due to the rules and processes within government-led energy efficiency schemes or lack of sector demand for innovation. Our construction sector is highly risk averse, and the housing sector in particular has low incentives to change. You can help by specifying innovative solutions on your own projects. Following the Grenfell fire and the Hackett review, the government is pushing for an increase in competence in the construction sector. Consumer complaints about the quality of new homes has also led to the government to establish the New Homes Ombudsman, which will give consumers redress for failures in the construction sector. This includes meeting energy efficiency standards as well as safety regulations. Failures in previous government schemes like the Green Deal and the Energy Company Obligation led to the Each Home Counts review. Poor installations of energy efficiency measures had led to mould and moisture problems, overheating, poor air quality, etc. The recommendations in the review are slowly being implemented in the sector. Past 2035 has been developed and all future government funded schemes will require its use, as well as Trustmark accreditation and the use of a retrofit coordinator. These take a more holistic approach to energy efficiency. Trustmark is a government's endorsed quality scheme covering the majority of maintenance and improvement work around the home and is already required for schemes like New Green Homes Grant. The need to make homes more energy efficient while improving quality, performance and competency means that we are seeing the increased need for standards and accreditation. This means we will all have to change the way we work going forward. All this change means that the sector needs to develop the knowledge and skills to deliver net zero in the built environment. We need to upskill existing installers, for example heating engineers, to be able to install low carbon heating systems. We need to encourage young people into the industry. We need to improve consumer knowledge so they demand zero carbon solutions and know how to work the technologies. We need to improve industry knowledge to be able to design and build whole house solutions to new build and retrofit. This should also help to significantly reduce the performance gap that exists between design versus as-built energy performance, a current barrier to delivering net zero carbon homes. So what does all this mean for you as a designer? I do believe we are seeing the biggest amount of change that we have seen in many years within construction, meaning the industry will need to rapidly adapt. Prepare for the opportunities that the zero carbon policies will bring. The Green Homes Grant is only the beginning of government-funded energy efficiency schemes. Stay up to date with all the latest policy developments to help you do this. A more holistic approach to building design will be required, including low carbon heating and energy efficiency measures. Pay attention to unintended consequences like mould, moisture buildup and overheating when addressing energy efficiency in buildings. Think outside just energy efficiency. What about lighting, acoustics, air quality, etc.? There is a huge opportunity here to improve the quality of life, health and well-being of homeowners and occupants via retrofit and new build design, whilst also reducing carbon emissions. The sector is moving towards the higher use of innovation and modern methods of construction, How can your business utilise these new technologies and products? Consider adopting smart construction and use the Construction Leadership Council metrics on your own projects. Look at your own business to see where you can reduce your own carbon footprint. Lead by example with the design of your own office buildings. Are they comfortable and energy efficient? Are they designed with well-being of your workforce in mind? And finally, ensure that you have the necessary knowledge, skills and competencies across your business and the necessary accreditations to deliver. Thank you very much for listening. I do hope that you found this presentation informative, and if you would like to find out more about the work we are doing at the Sustainable Energy Association, please contact me on the address shown on the slide.